Distinguished delegates, engineers, officials, ladies and gentlemen, I am honored to address you at the opening of an important conference devoted to how sustainable communities can be built and advanced through the sharing of knowledge and experience. I am also pleased to follow the traditional Maori greetings, a homage to a culture rooted in customs and communities which for centuries preceded the advance of what we have come to call modern societies. New Zealand and Iceland, although far apart on our planet, even as far as two countries could possibly be, are in many ways remarkably similar, as was pointed out to me by my first professor of economics and social studies when I arrived in England more than half a century ago for my university degree. After a few classes of tutoring, he remarked rather reflectively, since arriving from New Zealand to teach at the University of Manchester, I have always felt foreign in the company of the British. But you, a young Icelander, remind me of home. Perhaps the Icelandic people have the same sense of their strength and are somehow as ignorant of their shortcomings, as is the case with us in New Zealand. Although he was probably testing the response of the novice in his class, the observation certainly reminds us that throughout the 20th century and up to the present times, both New Zealand and Iceland have demonstrated that small nations far away from the great continents, even placed way out in the large global ocean, can, despite challenging natural forces, evolve into successful and prosperous states. Both New Zealand and Iceland show that smallness is not necessarily a barrier to progress. The cooperation fostered by community spirit can provide solid foundations for modern success. I am often asked how Iceland managed within the lifetime of one generation to move from being perhaps the poorest country in Europe, a nation of farmers and fishermen, to sharing with the other Nordic countries, and in many cases New Zealand, the top places in international ranking of states. Of course, there are many strands in our evolution, but the initiatives and projects undertaken and executed by local communities form the solid framework of our modern achievements. There never was a grand national plan, a centrally driven model of how to move forward. The people in small and medium-sized fishing localities, towns and villages, together with farmers in fjords and valleys, joined hands in strengthening the infrastructure in their respective communities. The harbors gradually became more modern, replacing timber with concrete structures, enabling larger boats and later trawlers to strengthen the local fishing industry. Gravel streets and roads were replaced by asphalt and other more durable materials, bringing traffic and transport facilities into line with the ambitions and the self-esteem of the inhabitants. With the growth in population, modern housing developments, new streets and districts were formed according to plans provided by the first generation of Icelandic engineers, architects, and urban planners. Each municipality gradually developing departments of construction, engineering, and planning, leading to urban progress supported by advanced expertise. Furthermore, the heating of the houses, how the geothermal potential was turned into a major energy resource for urban heating systems, is perhaps the most remarkable example of local leadership in my country, gradually bringing about a national energy revolution, replacing imported oil and coal by geothermal resources. In the early decades of my life, over 80% of Iceland's energy came from imported fossil fuel. But in this new century, we enjoy a clean energy economy where 100% of our electricity and house heating comes from renewable energy, geothermal and hydro. The geothermal revolution has almost exclusively been created by local and regional projects. Municipal councils bringing engineers, experts, and construction companies together. As a consequence, the communities gained not only cheap, reliable, clean energy, but also came to benefit from various other business and lifestyle opportunities. Greenhouse agriculture now provides the Icelandic people with tomatoes, peppers, cucumbers, and other healthy nutritional vegetables. Extensive fish farming with salmon, trout, and even now Senegal sole. The cold Atlantic Ocean warmed up by geothermal heat to fool this warm water fish expands our food variety and also attracts tourists, together with spas like the now world-famous Blue Lagoon, receiving nearly 1 million tourists a year, each paying 40 euros to bathe themselves in the silicon-rich spill-off water from a geothermal power plant. And then there are the outdoor swimming pools in almost every community across the country, functioning not only as places for recreation, but also local gossip. Yes, the list could indeed be longer, because Iceland and New Zealand have, through their geothermal evolution, created display centers for the rest of the world, demonstrating how the heat inside the earth, heat which is under every country, every continent, can, through modern engineering and drilling technologies, become the basis of major clean energy urban advances. Progress towards a more sustainable world is often inspired by local models, community successes, which are then scaled up to national and even global levels. Through the sharing of knowledge, projects which are tested and developed in smaller towns and local communities can become the foundation of global progress. How two small, faraway countries like New Zealand and Iceland became global leaders in geothermal energy provides a splendid proof of this approach. What began by laying pipes in a few gravel streets in Reykjavik, the capital of Iceland, in the 1930s, is now the basis of extensive geothermal cooperation between Icelandic companies and institutions and countries as diverse as China, Indonesia, India, the Philippines, Ethiopia, Kenya, and others in East Africa, Abu Dhabi and Saudi Arabia, countries in Central and Eastern Europe, as well as South and North America, thus enabling my country to make significant contribution to the global battle against irreversible climate change. Such models of success exist in all your communities, and the conference provides an excellent opportunity to expand and strengthen this core message that we can achieve a sustainable world by sharing knowledge created in our various communities. This is why I believe strongly that your cooperation, your international network, is of such great importance in the 21st century. A vision I shared with the IFME board when I hosted it at my residence in Iceland. A message which my fellow countryman Erlingur Árni Hjálmarsson from my neighboring town of Hafnarfjörður brings to your conference. Our world has now arrived at a historic crossroads where we must choose the way towards a sustainable future, where nations and continents are not threatened by the growing frequency of extreme weather events, bringing regular disasters and destructions. A choice strengthened by the sharing of knowledge which has been created by multiple municipal efforts and expertise. On this historic journey, every community has a global role, a wealth of local experience of importance to others. And it is in the spirit of such a vision that I wish you success in your dialogue and your deliberations.